Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ZenChats. I am Zenica, and the conversation today is a little bit different than the other episodes. So, up until now, I have been talking to project founders about their projects. And while I am talking to a project founder today, the focus isn't on their project, but instead just security in the in the Web3 space in general. This conversation was in light of the recent sort of phishing attack on OpenSea. There was a lot of FUD around, I think a week and a half ago from when this is going to come out, where people were thinking that the OpenSea contracts were hacked, the X2, Y2 marketplace was hacked, although there was a bug and exploit. There was a lot of panic, and it turns out what ended up happening was it was a bunch of individuals, unfortunately, clicked on malicious links, interacted with contracts that they shouldn't have, and had their information and assets stolen because of that. So I talk with Backseats, who is he's anonymous in the space. He goes by a pseudonym, and he has been in the space since 2013. He has survived since then. He understands. He's a developer. He understands how all of this works, and so I really wanted to have a conversation about just how it works and just try and put in like layman terms as well for me, as well as hopefully some of you, what we're signing when we sign a transaction in Metamask. What are some like best practices we can employ to avoid or to reduce the risks? You can never 100% eliminate the risks of just in life, I guess, in general, but in the NFT space and crypto space as well. But like some best practices to make it as safe as possible for yourself, and to also take a step back and put some systems in place in terms of setting up a hardware wallet, a cold wallet, a vault, which stores your valuables. So, in the unfortunate case that you do click on a malicious link and make a unfortunate transaction, you're not liable to lose like all your assets. You've got them stored away safely, and you're transacting with a hot wallet. But we're going to get into all of this. We're going to talk about what a hot wallet is, what a cold wallet is, definitions, and we'll go through looking at different types of transactions, and hopefully you learn something. And I want to add that this is not exhaustive. We don't cover everything in full detail. That's not possible to do, but we do talk for an hour and a half, and we cover a lot of stuff. And I hope to have Backseats back on to chat again, because this is a really important topic. And I think so many of us, myself included, don't really understand what's going on under the hood, so to speak. And we should know better, and we should try and educate ourselves. And that's what I'm doing with this conversation and with ZenChats in general. So I hope you appreciate. If you do, I appreciate any likes, comments, and subscribes to the video and the channel. It really helps grow the channel, and that's something that I'm trying to do. Hello, Backseats. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Doing well. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically sent out, to give context, I guess, to everyone else. Yesterday was a crazy day in the whole NFT space, when basically a phishing attack happened, but there was all sorts of FUD and misinformation flying around about how OpenSea was hacked, or there's a bug in the migration contract, or X2, Y2. And then, so I sent out a tweet, a few hours ago, seeing if there was someone who was like an expert or like knowledge in the area of OPSEC and security and safety, just to jump on here to talk about it, because I think it would be helpful not only for me, but also, for viewers as well, to learn a bit about all of this, because we don't know. And you very quickly and generously offered to jump on, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Security is one of those things that you think it's only going to happen to other people until it happens to you. So,
Yeah.
I think like you just sort of have to hammer it home for people, and then hopefully they get it. And it's always good to be prepared. And the worst thing that happens, or I guess the best thing that happens, is you don't need it.
Yeah.
And then when you do need it, your precautions are in place.
Yeah, it's really easy to get complacent, I think. And even for me, like, so I get into NFTs like March 2021, and I think I only got set up on a hardware wallet maybe around July, and I'd had significant assets for 2 months or so by then, and I was like, yeah, I should get to it, and I was just kicking the can down the road. Eventually, I ordered one, set it up. It takes a couple hours, but the peace of mind that came with it instantly was immense.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think, I guess for a little bit of background on me, so I've been in crypto since 2013 in various capacities. Got into NFTs initially through CryptoPunks in 2017, but that was before, like, NFTs. That wasn't a term. Um, they were just some things that sat in my wallet for 4 years, and then in February last year, I realized that they were worth something and just started looking into the space more, and kind of fell down the rabbit hole. Um, so, I'm a developer. I'm a product person. I've built a handful of things. Most recently, I launched a project last week called NounCats, which is a CC0. My PFP right now is one. And a little nod to CryptoPunks in there as well. Um, and yeah, I also built a thing earlier this year called Contract Reader, which is sort of apt for this discussion as well, which is just we're trying to own the contract tab on Etherscan and make it beautiful and make it highlight the syntax of the code, just make it really easy for people to read and understand. Whether you're technical or non-technical, you should be able to easily read a contract and hopefully understand what it does, or if not, you can just like reference a line and send it to somebody on Twitter and be like, what is this? Is this malicious or not?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds immensely useful, actually. I think basically with NFTs, it seems like, at least prior to that, for the most part, people who are getting into crypto, actively trading, had a MetaMask wallet, were like doing DeFi activity. They had like maybe not the highest level of technical knowledge, but like a moderate level of technical knowledge. But then NFTs have sort of attracted a section of the world, more mainstream than DeFi and everything that came before. People who are attracted by art and culture and music, who may not have that background in tech and finance, and sort of like we're thrown in, jumping into the deep end, and we understand maybe the basics. I'm putting myself in that category as well, because I don't have the technical knowledge of a developer or someone who's been here since 2013 or even 2017. We understand, we see, okay, so MetaMask is a wallet. I can send money there from Coinbase or Binance, and then I can use that. I just sign a transaction, pay some gas. But I mean, I think most people, again, myself included, we don't really fully understand like what we're signing when we sign a MetaMask transaction. Like, so sometimes it says mint, sometimes it says transfer, set approval, and it's sort of got to the case where, at least for me, for the most part, it's like I'm cautious of the sites I connect to. But even say on OpenSea, I don't really know what is happening when I click, I'll list an item for sale, click sign. It's just more a case of, well, people have been doing this for years and years, and it seems fine. So I'm going to just assume that it's fine. But it would be really helpful, I think, to know kind of what we're signing and what it means. And yeah, I mean, maybe we can start there. If you could run through like what happens when we click buy or mint or transfer or any button on a website, and then MetaMask pops up, and there's a sign option, whether it's to pay money or it's not paying money. What are the different things that are going on there?
Yeah. So if you think of if you're familiar with the concept of like power of attorney, where you can designate somebody to act on your behalf, right? And maybe that's your accountant to file your taxes, something very benign. Maybe that's something more serious, like medical power of attorney, if you need someone to make certain medical decisions for you for whatever reason. Um, Signing with MetaMask is, or any crypto wallet is sort of a metaphor for that, right? To you're saying like, this site or this entity has the permission now from me to do a thing, right? So that might be write a transaction to the chain that mints a new NFT, or it means OpenSea specifically uses signing without any kind of like gas. They save you gas by just asking you to sign, saying like, yeah, sure, I want to sell this. I give you permission to list this at this price that I put up. So in any crypto wallet, The basis for it is public key encryption. So you have a private key, and that's what you need to keep super secure. That's your 12 or 24 word phrase. Ideally, you've written that down. It's in a safe. It's not just like written on your desk in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah.
Because if
And
you
never
have
stored
some
digitally.
never stored digitally, not definitely not on iCloud, but don't put it in 1Password, don't put it in LastPass, don't put it on Google Drive. Um, Write that down, put it in a safe, maybe a safety deposit box, like somewhere that is very hard to get to. Like if someone broke into your house, they couldn't like rummage through and just get it. Because if someone has your private key, they have everything, and they can sign for you. They can send your ETH to a different wallet or your NFTs to a different wallet. There's no difference between if I had your private key and I was using it. There's no difference between me and you acting, on that wallet's behalf, because we have the, power of attorney. To go
Hmm.
back to my metaphor before. Um, and then so from that private key you can create unlimited public keys, and the public key is the address that you will send to someone, or you'll give to ENS domains to create, like, Zeneca.eth or Backseats.eth. um, right? So you can, so what sign to answer your initial question, what signing basically is you're sending a computer program a message along with your private key, and you're saying, wrap the message in my private key. From that, get a response from that only I could have created. So your private key signing and my private key signing the same, hello world message, are cryptographically going to result in different outputs.
Hmm.
And then there is much more complex math than I understand, which can actually unpack that and verify the public key that signed that address. So if I'm signing with the private key associated with Backseats.eth, there are smart contracts or just generic computer programs that, not maliciously at all, can just back that out and say, okay, this is the public key that signed this. Like, I can verify that, and they can do that without actually having to know what the private key is. Again, through a lot of complex cryptography and mathematics. That's probably both outside the scope of my understanding fully, and probably outside the scope of this conversation. um, but yeah, when you're going to OpenSea and you're signing to say, like, sell this, you're essentially saying, I give OpenSea permission to do this transaction on my behalf. When someone comes on the buy side and says, I want to pay you 3 ETH for your NFT.
Yeah. So basically, you're giving OpenSea the permissions to move, like, trade your asset, or like transfer your asset from your wallet to the buyer's wallet, and in exchange for the ETH, if they want to buy it. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly that.
And how does it work on like a collection basis? Because there was a lot of talk about revoking the permissions that OpenSea has for, say, like if you've approved so that OpenSea can like if you list a Bored Ape for sale, for example, and
Mhm.
then let's say you list it, it doesn't sell, the listing expires, but you have signed that transaction giving OpenSea power of attorney, I guess, to use that analogy, to sell your Bored Ape. Um, does that theoretically mean that OpenSea still has those permissions to use, like, basically transfer your Bored Ape to someone?
Technically, yes. So if you look at the ERC 721 contract, if you go to any NFT that you own, and you go to, like, the read contract tab on Etherscan, there's uh, a function called is approved for all, and under that are two fields. There's an owner and an operator. So in this sense, the owner would be you, and the operator would be OpenSea. So you're giving them sort of proxy access to handle your asset for you.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that's a scary permission to give someone. Obviously, we trust OpenSea. I know that they've had a lot of FUD lately, but I think a lot of it's probably overblown. And as far as handling everyone's assets on a grand scale, they've done pretty well. In terms of people who are losing their assets or getting scammed, getting phished, is what's happening. Someone creates a fake OpenSea, well, I guess is one potential attack vector. People create a fake OpenSea looking site, get people to sign this, giving them proxy ownership, and then they have approval to transfer the assets. Is that
Ex-
accurate?
exactly.
So then I guess the next question is, how can you tell? I mean, aside from, say, don't click on links and emails and stuff like that. But let's say you're on a website, you think it's OpenSea, you check that it's OpenSea.io, or maybe you don't. But let's say you click on a thing, it pops up in MetaMask. Is there a way to tell whether or not you're interacting with the genuine OpenSea website versus some malicious site just on the MetaMask transaction, or do you have to actually look at the URL bar and make sure you're on OpenSea.io?
So, I mean, you should look at everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, you should review the MetaMask transaction, and just like when I write code to allow people to connect their wallet to a mint site that I'm building, um, like I will have it say, for my project, like it says noun cats, and there's a description, and there's an image that is, a asset from our collection, um, so that it's not like the generic, default like Wallet Connect or MetaMask image. Um, like you want to give the user the user should feel like there's sort of a brand experience there, um, right? But it's also when we get an email from OpenSea that says like someone has made an offer on your NFT, like that's a really
Mm.
exciting email and it's easy to sort of get ahead of your skis. But it's important to like go into the to field and make sure that it's coming from OpenSea.io, and not like sometimes there will be misspellings.
Mm.
One of the biggest things that you need to account for, especially if you're, I guess, both on if you're a project creator and if you're just a user, is when a URL has an I or an L in it. It's very easy to use a capital I as an L and use that as a phishing vector.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, like I'm trying to think, if the website you're going to, let's just say it's called mywallet.io. I'm just making this
Mm.
up, right? And there could be a phishing site that's mywallet.io, and the L's are capital I's, and it's very, very difficult to discern the difference because it's a pixel or two difference in your URL bar. Um, so so really being careful there. Like go slow, like take deep breaths, ask people on Twitter, like never be afraid to be like, is this legit? Has anyone else done this? Like search on Twitter, um, especially as it relates to like airdrops, because a lot of times airdrops, it's free money. It can feel too good to be true. You can also feel like you're sort of playing a game of chicken, like I need to claim this and either stake it or sell it or whatever before
Mhm.
the market does. Um, but again, like slow down and do your research, and because like the worst thing that happens is you lose, you get compromised and you lose your stuff. Maybe you miss out on a couple $1,000s worth of some freebie, but um, it's not worth losing your whole wallet over that.
Yeah, it's the whole risk reward thing. Um, while you were talking, side note, I looked up mywallet.io. It's not an official site, but it's for sale if anyone wants it. It's $99,900. Someone's looking to set up a wallet site, then there you
If you
go.
use capitalized, it's
Oh
probably
yeah.
open and
There we go. Um, yeah, I mean, so I guess it really does come down to, so much of the security is just basic internet stuff as well. Just like, don't click on emails, or like, yeah, be careful with what sites you check, you go to. If someone DMs you, it's probably too good to be true. Um, yeah, just check, verify from multiple data points, data sources, um, before before transacting. And you're absolutely right. Patience is key. I think that's a tenet in the space in general. It's so easy to get caught up in FOMO and hype and rush into things, but especially if you're using a wallet that has a lot of valuable assets on it, you want to be careful. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think like what I tell people is like I tell people to play their own game. Like the market is 24/7. There's people all over the world. Like I'm in the States, you're in Australia, right? Like,
Germany actually, but I am Australian.
oh,
Yeah,
oh, sorry. Um,
it's all good.
my bad. Um, like it's very easy to feel like everything is happening all the time and you can never take a break. But that's the opposite of what you should, like, the mental model that you should sort of carry with you. Like, you should be very careful, you should be very slow and deliberate. um, there are lots of opportunities to make money here, and much like surfing, like, there's always another wave. So, if you miss this airdrop, if you missed Azukis, or if you missed, you know bored apes, or whatever, there will always be another one of these. So, like, take the time and the space that you need to do things right. And if something feels fishy, like, do some research, ask a friend. If someone's claiming that they're on a team, or they're, um, I had an experience recently where someone claimed they were on a team of a well-known um, NFT project, and I checked. I checked with the team, and they're like, "We have no idea who this person is."
Mm,
Um, it, always try to get some kind of, like, second opinion before you do something that you're not 100% certain of, because yeah, there's a lot of people who are very sophisticated, who can who are running scams, and crypto is very adversarial. And especially in limited collections, there's only so many of them, and if I own something, you can't own that same something. So uh, the heat turns up as these things become, more ubiquitous for uh, for people to fall victim to scams. And um, at some point in this conversation, we should also talk about, like, IRL experiences and OPSEC around that, because
mm.
it's not just your MetaMask stuff. It's also when you go to conferences and you meet people in person.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to get into that. Um, Before we do though, I want to well, I mean, I want to agree and reiterate with what you said about, there'll always be another wave. Sort of something I've been saying a lot is that the best thing you can do to like do well in this space is ensure that you survive. Like
Yeah,
don't go all in on some meme coin, and don't take unnecessary risks with your MetaMask wallet, because yeah, there are almost an infinite number of opportunities that are presenting themselves and are likely to continue to present themselves. But if you lose everything and basically start from zero or worse, it's so difficult to climb back. So yeah,
yeah,
another I guess so. We've been talking about some of the things you can do, like verify from multiple data points, always check the URL. But maybe if we take it a step back and talk about like a hot wallet versus storing high valuable assets in a cold wallet, and maybe even just defining the terms. What is a hot wallet slash and what is a cold wallet slash hardware wallet, and what are some like the best practices for people?
absolutely. So a hot wallet is something like MetaMask. It's attached to your browser. Um, Typically, it should have a very low amount of assets on it. If it has more than a couple $1,000s of assets, you should move those to a hardware wallet, or a cold wallet. A hot wallet is connected to the internet. So if I see an airdrop or a minting opportunity, maybe I have 2 ETH stored on there. I can go to that website. I can connect. I can do the mint. Um, and then generally I will move those assets to a cold wallet. Even if I'm planning on selling those, flipping those in a week or two, I still want to make sure that I'm practicing good security, and that those things are stored on a cold wallet. Um, the other aspect of a hot wallet is that your private key, again, super important. You don't want anyone to ever get that. Is stored on the machine. So like my MetaMask that's connected to Chrome right now, if someone were to sit down at my computer, they could, through the right series of steps, get to that private key.
I did
Which
not know
then
that.
leads,
That's scary.
yeah. So like if you go into MetaMask, like I'll open mine right now, you click on the three dots next to your account, and you go to account details, and then you click export private key. It's going to ask you for your MetaMask password, and then if you enter that in, it will show you your, I think, 64
Hmm.
character hexadecimal private key,
Oh
right?
wow. Okay.
And so people fall victim to screen sharing scams where someone will claim they're from a support team.
Mm.
If you ever tweet the word MetaMask, don't ever do
Oh
that.
yeah.
But you'll get a bunch of people who are like, "Hi, I'm here to help." Um, and then if they ask to screen share, oftentimes they'll try to go through that route um, to get your private key. So that is stored on my computer. MetaMask goes through. They have their own secure ways of storing that, but the reality is the private key is still on my machine.
Mm.
Um, so then, conversely, a cold wallet is where the private key is not stored um, on device. So, like a Ledger or a Trezor wallet, for example, are examples of cold wallets where when you set up your device initially, you'll go through a tutorial. They'll have you write down on a piece of paper that they provide in the box the 12 or 24 words that make up your private key. And then from there, there's no way, as far as I know, on device to actually access the private key again. So if you were to lose that piece of paper, your private key is gone, and you wouldn't be able to access uh, the assets that are on that device unless you actually had the device and you put in your PIN and you
Mm.
had physical access to the device. So the difference between hot and cold is just that the private key is on the machine versus not. And generally, hardware wallets are $150-ish, give or take. If you have most people who are buying an NFT are buying something that is, if you're paying zero point 0.1 ETH, you're already paying double that. So or near double that right now. So it's never a bad idea to have one of them or multiple. So if you've got an extensive collection, consider splitting them up across different hardware wallets. So maybe you have one for Bitcoin and one for Ethereum and one for NFTs, or one for just your Bored Apes or your Cool Cats or your Punks. You can also go a step further and you can keep that hardware wallet in a safety deposit box at a bank. So if someone were to break into your house, for example, it's not there. And another thing you can do is have a decoy wallet. So if you have
Mm.
a fair amount of assets, you could have a decoy wallet with, say, 10 ETH on it and a relatively low value NFT or set of NFTs that you wouldn't mind losing in the event of an emergency. And if someone were to, hopefully not, but if someone were to potentially break into your place, you could say, "Here, take this. This is all I have," and then stored somewhere else safely and quietly is your sort of offsite hardware wallet. And also, if you go into the settings of MetaMask, if you're a MetaMask user, in the advanced settings, there's a setting called Auto Lock Timer, which is the amount of minutes before MetaMask will lock itself. So if you set that to something short, like 15 minutes, then every 15 minutes you'll have to enter your MetaMask password. But if if you have roommates, if you are in college or high school, if you just are generally in a shared space, then your MetaMask isn't just open when your computer is
Mm.
open.
No, that's a
Um,
really good setting.
and you should also lock your computer every time you walk away from it. So, if you work in an office, if you are in a college library or wherever, you should never be in a situation where someone can open your computer and have access to your device, potentially, your crypto wallet, Always lock your computer. Yes, it is a pain to re-enter that password every time, or the MetaMask password every 15 minutes. But again, it's it's worth it if it keeps you from, some jerk sits down and they're like, I know this guy's got a bunch of cool NFTs. Like I'm gonna grab one for myself.
Yeah.
And they open your computer and they open your MetaMask, and there's green lights ahead, and they just they send it to I'm a jerk.eth, and then you're out
Yeah.
whatever your NFT is.
Yeah, those are all really good points. I think I want to so something a lot of people do and talk about is, I guess it's a hybrid between a hot and a cold wallet, where they use MetaMask with like a ledger connected to it, and like they're buying and selling things and having to input their 8-digit code or 4-digit code on the hardware wallet every time and then they have to like click on the buttons to approve the transaction. Where does that fall in like the security spectrum? Is that yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a warm wallet. Like it's, the private keys are still not online, as far as
Mhm.
I know. Um, they could be stored somewhere very deep, and I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they're not. Um, right? It gives you the nice user experience of using MetaMask, which many of us are familiar with. Um, and then when you disconnect your hardware wallet, if someone were to, or you were to, yourself to open up MetaMask and navigate to that wallet, you wouldn't actually be able to transact, because the final step of that transaction is signing that transaction on your hardware device, which involves tapping through the buttons and confirming that yourself. So like that's generally, I think that's what most people would do if they were actually honest with you, is they create a hardware wallet, they connect it to MetaMask, they keep it, somewhere safe in their house, and then when they want to transact, they hook it up to their computer, they do the thing, they disconnect it, and then they go about their day. A true cold wallet is one ideally stored offsite, um, where your private keys are stored in a different place. So, if your private key is stored like in, a Wells Fargo bank, your uh, your hardware wallet is stored in a Bank of America bank, so that you
Mm.
can't, they're not in the same place. And so yeah, there's various degrees of sort of like wallet warmness and coldness, depending on, security and user experience are always a trade-off. So the more
Mhm.
secure you're being, the kind of more of a pain it is to do the transaction. But that also means it's more of a pain for the attacker to try to compromise you as well, because they're going to have to go through those steps. They're not going to know, if you've seen Harry Potter, it's sort of like Horcruxes, right? Like your stuff is in
Yep.
different places. Like your wallet is here. If you really want to go crazy, you could take your 24 character or your 24 word seed phrase, you could split it up into 6 4-word seed phrases,
Mhm.
laminate them, put them in different banks, right? If you want to go even crazier, you can put them in different banks around the world, right? Depending on how many assets, those words cover.
Engrave them on
Um,
steel. It's
you could,
another
yeah,
option that a lot of people are doing. Yeah.
yeah. And people also, they think about flood prevention, they think about fire prevention. Um, because if you've got really one copy of that, ideally, you just want to make sure that your bases are covered.
Yeah. I went through that process a few months ago where I had my cold vault wallet that was getting more assets and more assets in it. And I still had at home a piece of paper with my entire seed phrase on it. And it was an increasing source of anxiety. So I ended up, I'm not going to give full details, but basically splitting it up into various chunks with redundancies and ensuring that they were safe in various physical locations around the world. And then I literally burnt the actual piece of paper. It was just a fun moment. And then, yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I no longer have access to it. So if someone comes and has, they call it like the wrench attack, the hammer attack. Someone's at your house with a hammer and trying to get your assets. They literally can't.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why what you said earlier about having like a decoy wallet, that actually makes a ton of sense. And obviously, most
Yeah.
people don't need to worry about that, but it's just something to think about. Yeah.
but I think again, it goes back to this sort of mental model of like, you know, the easy what you just said about like the wrench, like people think about crypto attacks as like complex, hackers and scammers and phishing attacks and all this stuff. Like it's much easier if I know you're at a conference and you're tweeting, I'm going to be here at this time to, you know, kidnap you or to, attack you in some way or drug you or, that's a much more approachable, um, easier to execute like robbery strategy than it is, than some, complex digital scheme. Um,
Yeah.
so when you're going to these conferences and you're having these great experiences meeting, these people that you've known for months in your Discord communities or Twitter or what have you, um, always make sure like leave everything at home. You know, don't bring a hardware wallet with you. Um, Even if it's in that really cute tiny Hermes hardware
Oh
wallet.
God, that was so bad.
That
Just
was
showing
so
the
bad.
world that you have enough money to pay thousands of dollars or whatever for a bag,
Yeah,
and hey, here's my hardware wallet.
yeah. Don't do that. Don't even buy
No,
that.
no.
Like if you've got, you're going to like Board Ape Fest, make sure that your ape isn't on your person, right? Even if
Mm,
that like you have a hard like even if you have a software wallet on your iPhone that requires like Face ID, it's pretty trivial for an attacker to like grab your phone, hold you at gunpoint or knife point, scan your face with or your auth in with Face ID, with you on the other end of that, unfortunate interaction and steal your stuff.
yeah,
Um, so if you're going to a conference, like be very very careful. Um, and I generally, am careful about the personal details I give away, or rather don't give away. Um, a lot of times people will get on calls with me and they'll say like, "Well, what do I call you?" And I'll say, Backseats.
yeah,
Like, and it's a weird experience. It's a new experience for myself included. But ultimately, like when you're dealing in, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars of these digital assets, it becomes increasingly important to be careful, and especially with like one of the downsides of like Twitter profile picture NFT verification is you're basically advertising to people that you have X amount of money in this asset, right? So like
yeah,
yes, it's a flex, and yes, it's a social signal thing, but you're also inviting people to your crypto wallet, right? There's only 10,000 bored apes. Like I can look up yours, and from there I can get to your wallet, and from there I can look at wallets you've transacted with and make an educated guess about which other ones might be yours, and then from there make a round number guess at how much you have in terms of your ETH assets. Um, it's all on chain, it's all transparent, and it just requires a couple hours of research. So, I always encourage people to think very closely about how much they want to give up online, in terms of like who they are um, and the details about themselves and their families and their kids and their lives.
yeah. No, you raise a lot of important points, and I think we've we've reached a point in the market where people are sort of shunning, anonymity to an extent, and they say, you need to be doxxed to if you're launching a project, this, that, and the other. But one of the core tenets of crypto and Web3 is that you can be fully anonymous, that you can transact, that your actions and words are your identity, and you form this sort of pseudonymous identity, which I think is just as real, basically, as a physical one, except that it protects your physical identity. Your Backseats, you have many years of history in the space. People know you, people trust you. No one needs to know your real name to trust you or to work with you. At least that's what I believe, and I think that um, the stigma around anonymous teams and people in the space is a stigma, and I mean, I've also, I say that if you're looking to invest in an NFT project, you ideally don't want to invest in an anonymous team. But to me, that doesn't mean that their physical identities are revealed. It's just that there's some sort of provenance and history of their whatever identity they're going with. So it could be several years in Web3 and on the blockchain as a pseudonym, but to me that's not anonymous. That's a different thing. Anonymous is like in terms of like investing in anonymous teams, it's like they're profiles that pop up out of nowhere that have 1 week worth of social media presence, no history. You just can't do any sort of research, and those are the risky teams and people to be dealing with. Not that, again, there can't be good projects and actions out of them, but it's just much riskier to trust them versus someone
Right.
like yourself as an example. Or like, there's dozens and dozens of other examples of people out there who are only known by their pseudonyms, and that's fine. That's the world we live in. And I think it's
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think you can have a pseudonym and have a history of good action, right? Like, um, you can look back through my Twitter history. You can look at like part of Web3 is the like looking at someone's wallet and saying like, okay, these are the different assets that they have. Like if you did a rug pull on your community and disappeared for 6 months, and then someone new showed up using your ape, and
Mm.
someone looked on chain and just saw like, oh well, this wallet transferred from here to here, and it wasn't a sale, it was just a transfer. Like, I'm just going to go, okay, well, there's Zeneca. Like,
Yeah.
he's just like, now he's named Franica, right? Should probably pick a better name than that, but
Fake
like,
Zeneca, Fenica. It
there
works.
there you go. There you go. I don't have a problem with non-doxed teams as long as they have some kind of track record.
Mm.
Whether that's being active in a Discord community and sort of coming up through, being a community member and saying like, oh, I'd like to try building my own project, or yeah, like you said, it's really those accounts that like they got a Coinbase transaction a week ago. They've got, a bunch of ETH in there. They launch a project. The project came out of nowhere. The Discord's got 55,000 people in it. It's been live for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Um, the Twitter's got, 80,000 followers and it's been up for 2 days. Like,
Red
those
flags,
are,
red
those
flags.
are all, yeah, those are all like huge red flags. I'm not afraid of pseudonyms. Most of the people I transact with and talk to and I'm friendly with on here I don't know their real names. I don't know where they live. And I honestly feel very mixed about meeting people in person,
Mm.
because I love, hanging out with people and making new friends and having those shared experiences. But, there's a lot of money flowing around in the space. You can't be too careful. So it's a very tricky world compared to Web 2. Where like, there were people who got, rich working at, Stripe and Square and Facebook and all of those, Slack, etc. And you would know, you know, senior engineers who had made a couple $1,000,000 off of an IPO. And in some ways that's the same, and in other ways it's not. I think the crypto crowds are a very different beast than like, Web 2
Mm.
users. So yeah, I just encourage people to consider whether they want to use their own identity or sort of a pseudonym, and really commit to one of those. But also, if you're using your own identity, you don't have to share everything. You don't have to share,
Mm.
don't share your birthday, don't share your kids' names, your kids' photos. Um, really consider, privacy as a right. You have a right to share as much or as little as you want to, and that can help you stay safe and secure.
Yeah. 100% agree. I think we veered off topic a little bit, although this was really important and a good discussion to have. I want to sort of bring it back to maybe more the tangible day-to-day transacting with MetaMask and what users can look for, I guess, to, I guess, again, verify what might or might not be a genuinely a, a safe transaction, I guess. I mean, obviously, again, we say verify that the website is authentic and do other research. But is there anything, again, in the Metamask transaction itself that maybe if you could share your screen and go through a
Yeah.
few transactions that, some will say set approval for, some will say mint, some will say transfer, some will be like you're just signing something but you're not actually paying any gas. Maybe if we can run through a few examples, and if you could share what they all mean,
Yeah.
maybe in more layman terms, that would be helpful.
So let's see. So here I've got my my MetaMask, and you can see that I've got 1.5 ETH in there. The the rough USD amount. You can scroll and you can see different um, transactions. And here is really where, especially with the OpenSea stuff, you really, you want to have a handle on this connected sites tab. So if you click on the little 3 dots right here and go down to connected sites, you can see, so I've connected to 2. I've connected to Etherscan, which everyone's familiar with, and ZenChats.com, which is the mint site that I built for my project. You can disconnect at any time, and I encourage people to have as few connected sites as possible, even if that means you reconnect every time you go to Etherscan or whatever. Just click that little trash can and then confirm disconnect. You can also disconnect. There was a disconnect all accounts button, which was helpful. So I'm going to disconnect, and you can confirm up here. The little circle will be yellow if not connected. And then let's see. So I'm going to just go to, this is my project, Noun Cats. So we're, as I mentioned before, we're in the nouns universe. We use their glasses, and then we've got two little groups of characters. So we have our cats right here, which have a fun, unique set of traits, and then we've got the invisibles, which have the same exact ones, but they're missing their body. So right now we're minting the invisibles. So I'm going to mint one of those with all of you right now. So first, we can see that we're not connected because the button here says connect wallet in the top right, and then also here, it says connect wallet. So we're just going to get started by connecting our wallet, which gives us a prompt for MetaMask or Wallet Connect. I'm going to choose MetaMask. So we can see here the URL at the top, right? We want to make sure that that's exactly as we expect it. This is the address that we're going to be connecting. And then the permissions that this site is asking for is to see, operative word see here, right? So it's a read operation, not a write operation. So it can see our address, our account balance, our activity, and it can initiate transactions, right? And that's where it should make you a little nervous. So
Yeah, that sounds scary.
yeah, so like whatever the site is wants to make a transaction for me. And it's important to remember, again, we're going to have to sign this. We're going to have to confirm a transaction. So it can't happen by itself. It has to happen with us acting, right?
So signing this, if it just says C and, C address, account balance, like, can anything nefarious or malicious happen if you just are signing this type of a transaction on a website? Even if, say, if it's a malicious website?
No. So you are going to have to do that second step of actually signing the thing, and clicking the connect button here, to be clear, is not signing. It's just authorizing the connection. So we'll get to the actual signing of the transaction in a moment. So you can see it connected, it went away, and then for user experience, we provide the first 6 characters and the last 4 characters of the address that's connected. So I can go up here into MetaMask and I can confirm, okay, OXCAC FBE3, OXCAC FBE3, they're the same. The behavior is exactly what I expect. Then we're going to go down here to our form, and we can select however many we want to mint. We're just going to mint 1 for this, and we're going to click our button to do that. MetaMask is going to pop up. Now, Up here on our left, we can see again the OXCAC FB3 wallet address. So we can make sure that that is exactly what we expect. The address right here is the smart contract we're going to be interacting with. And if you want to, you can actually, you can take this, let me copy that link. Make sure you can do that. There we go. Right, and I can view this on the block explorer and make sure that it is what it says it is. So we can see here that this is for noun cat invisibles. We can see that there's a history of transactions here. We can see that the contract holds 10.5 ETH right now. Again, there's the name that we expect, noun cats, which corresponds to the website. So all of these things are just data points which say to me, I am where I expect to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing here so far that is, that's awkward or a red flag. So we can go back here and we can open up our MetaMask again. Right, and again, we'll see nouncats.com is what's is what's initiating. Right, our price here, 0.075, matches our price right here. Right, so it's not trying to bait and switch me by doing something where it's, on the website it says it's charging me X, and in MetaMask it's charging me Y.
So if you could just scroll up again, sorry for a second, it says contract interaction. That's where sometimes it says, other things as well. Contract interaction, does that, we're trying to mint here. Does that say that we're trying to mint, or again, could something nefarious have contract interaction and we're signing away what we don't think we are, even though it's 0.075?
Potentially. So, this all contract interaction says is just that we're interacting with a contract in some capacity. It doesn't know, we can't tell directly from that what that is exactly. Other than we initiated this mint. I'm just scrolling through these tabs. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
We click this button, mint one invisible. This popped up. This is the behavior that I would expect as a user at this point in sort of this mint flow. And we can
but this is where user can get scammed or phished if it's a site that looks like noun cats. It looks exactly like this. It says contract interaction, but in reality, you're signing something that's not a mint.
Right. So this is the point, when you click confirm here, that's when you're actually signing. And that's where, this transaction is going to go through. So at this point, this is sort of your last point to say, no, I'm not comfortable with this. And then if you do, you click reject, and then, our website reflects that, where it says, the user denied the transaction signature. So then nothing goes through. So, if we do want to mint this, we'll go in here, we'll confirm. We're just going to click that. That's going to go away. And then the website updates to show that we're in this pending state, right? We can click to view on Etherscan, which didn't work, but we've got Etherscan pulled up right here. Right, so we can see that, I'm using the address that deployed the contract, right? But we called the public mint function right here. Right, that just confirmed. Right here we had this contract interaction. It happened on February 20th, which is today. My most recent one was February 18th, so we can see, that's to be expected. If I wanted to, for example, send you, use Zeneca.eth.
Yep.
Right, like if I go to send you, 0.0001. Right, rather than contract interaction, right here it says sending ETH. Right, so we can confirm that there's a different operation happening. We're not interacting with a smart contract. We're sending, instead we're sending someone ETH. And again, we can see our address here, the one ending in FB3. We can see right here our recipient, which is you. We can double check that we're on the right network if that's important. Maybe somebody's running some kind of Polygon scam or something like that. So just making sure that everything is as expected. And if you're ever unsure, just go down here, click that reject button, and no harm in starting over again.
So I want to ask, going back to say you click on the mint button, pops up contract interaction.
Yeah.
Assuming it's a nefarious site now, what's the worst case scenario? If you sign this, is it possible for just signing a transaction like this to drain every NFT from your wallet?
So the short answer is, the answer is it depends, right?
Okay.
It depends what the website's code does. It depends what the smart contracts code does. Every NFT from your wallet, probably not, because you would probably need to give, at no point in this flow have I given anyone my private key, right?
Mhm.
What I did when I ultimately bought, and minted, was I said, use my private key to okay this contract interaction through the code that I wrote on this website.
Mhm.
Right. And if you're interacting on this website, when you sign, you're saying, give Backseats' code the permission to mint this, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't say, nowhere in there is the ability to transfer any other asset or do anything related to that. I think where people have to watch out are when MetaMask pops up and it's looking for approvals, because when you're approving something, that's going back to this before, that's when you're giving this proxy ownership. This is approved for all here, right? Where when I click approve, right, the owner could be Zeneca.eth, but the operator could be Backseats.eth. And if I'm the
Mm.
operator, I'm in the driver's seat, and no pun intended, and um, and I'm doing with that asset what I will. So that brings me to you want to read code. So
Mm.
we can go. I'm just going to pop over to Contract Reader. This is a site that I built as well, to help people read code in a better way, because Etherscan is the windows are small, it's not legible, there's no code highlighting, and what you can do before you mint something, look at the code. It's all open source. If the contract isn't verified, don't use it, don't interact with it, because that means that the deployer probably has something to hide, right?
Mhm.
So we just interacted with the public mint function. So that's these 15 lines of code. Like let's step through them real quick. Um, this is a public mint. That's pretty self-explanatory. It takes 3 different pieces of data. This is a 20 to 30 character string. Nothing crazy. The amount that you're going to mint, and then a signature. So this is a measure that we use to prevent bots from minting off of our site. It goes through a bunch of checks, making sure that the mint is open, that it's not a smart contract or a bot trying to mint, that you're minting the correct amount, that the amount that you're minting is not going to exceed the max supply, that you've sent the right amount of ETH to us, and that the 20 to 30 character string hasn't been used before. After passing all of these checks, we make sure that the signature that we're sending down from our backend is the same that we have stored in the contract. And then we record this nonce to make sure that you're not using data from a different transaction as a way to get around our anti-bot measures. And only after passing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 checks can you actually mint. And even if you can't code, I think that you can reasonably read through this and hopefully guess. Line 130 is pretty hefty, but
Mm.
most of these are pretty um, approachable, statements of code that a smart person could reasonably reason through. And if something is getting complicated, go on Twitter and say, has anyone vouched for this contract? I'm unsure of, line 130. Can someone explain how this works? This seems interesting, but also fishy. Can somebody take a look at this and let me know? And I think what you saw last night with the OpenSea phishing stuff was that there were a lot of people who very quickly came to, they came out with steps that you could go through to make sure that you were safe, disconnecting your accounts. What else? Just like
Revoking permissions.
yeah, exactly, and just like helpfully like understanding what all of it means in the context of everything. Because like you said before, a lot of us are just sort of clicking around, and it's all on our hot wallet, and everything's on MetaMask, and our seed phrase is just written in our desk drawer, or it's stored on iCloud, and that's fine until it's not. So I think really using your communities that you're a part of in Discord or Twitter to ask for help when you need it, because there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Absolutely. All right. I want to go back to what you said before about how it's good practice to disconnect your wallet from every website.
Yeah.
Because you also said a little bit after that, when you connect, actually like it's just the C permission. Is there times when you connect and you give access for them to write, or where is like the risk from having your wallet connected to a lot of websites?
Yeah, I mean, I think every site is different in what they're asking for. It never hurts. Like if I were to, the next step that I would do after using this site, even though I wrote it, is to go in here, click on the little connected guy, click here and disconnect. And
Just like good practice.
yeah, because then when I come back, like I know that I'm starting with a fresh, a fresh experience. It still says
Hmm.
connect wallet. When I click there, it's going to ask me which wallet to choose. It's the same as if I'm happening, it's happening for the first time, because while it is a nice user experience to come to a site and the site says like, welcome back, Seneca, great to see you, different from Web 2, where like that user experience is very much a part of the flow. Web 3, our wallet is connected, our money is connected, our valuable, NFT assets or DeFi, assets or LP positions or, what have you are connected there. It's never a bad thing to disconnect. It's pretty trivial to reconnect. And then there's also a great site, revoke.cash.
Yeah, I
Um,
was going to ask about that next, because that's a lot of people were talking about that during the phishing and saying, go to revoke.cash and revoke all the approvals or permissions.
yeah. Um, so like I have an unlimited allowance on OpenSea for Coolman's universe. Like, I don't know what a limited allowance means, but it sounds
It
scary,
sounds scary.
right?
Yeah.
So let's click revoke, right? Um, and then so here's an this goes back to your question before. So this is a bit scary, right?
Mm.
It says set approval for all here, right? We just clicked a button that says revoke. So how does this work? And I think this is like a really key example. So what we're actually doing in our data that we send.
I keep
So
hearing
you can,
people say how MetaMask sucks in terms of like showing actually what's happening and they need better UI.
yeah. So like, we've got, because I think I have one Coolman's universe. So let's do it. Let's revoke
Mm.
it. I guess what you want to see here is no allowances.
Mm.
Okay, here we go. It updated to no allowances.
Mm.
So, again, when we click this and we see um, set approval for all, what that's actually doing is that's setting the approval to the number 0.
Mm.
So we're setting it's a weird UX pattern that isn't quite like understandable.
Hmm.
Like it's not as clear as it should be. But what we're essentially doing here is we're changing it from unlimited to 0. Um, and you pay a little gas to do that.
And then I guess last question, could you maybe go to OpenSea and let's say you want to sell a Cool Man's Universe just so we can see sort
Yeah.
of what pops up in MetaMask and what we're signing on that side of it.
So, I have these in my wallet, right? And I'm going to click sell, and I'm going to sell this for, 1 ETH. So initialize your wallet. To get set up for selling on OpenSea for the first time, you must initialize your wallet, which requires a one-time gas fee. So this is running something called register proxy. So this is where we're giving permission to OpenSea to do something on our behalf,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have to pay a
Power of
$67.
attorney.
Yeah. So we have to
Yeah.
pay a $67 gas fee in order to do that. So, so let's do that. And then
This is a one-time fee for OpenSea. Yeah.
So this is allowing OpenSea with this address to interact with my noun cats to sell them. We can view it on Etherscan. We can take a look and we can see, again, the register proxy that we saw in a Metamask is illustrated right here as the function name. Let's see, well, we wait for this to confirm. So OpenSea, I think it was going to step 2. Okay, so we see initialize is done. Now we need to approve. So this is the power of attorney we were talking about. So set approval for all. So to get set up for auction listings for the first time, you must approve this item for sale, which requires a one-time gas fee.
So this is where it's basically saying OpenSea will have unlimited approvals for the whole collection.
So this is saying, so this, what this is saying is like, I'm going to put a listing up on OpenSea. And when the buyer comes for this, execute that transaction. Like this is now in OpenSea's hands after I do this. Right. So we're going to confirm this. And again, let's go to Etherscan.
Oh yeah, this is something I'm glad this came up because a lot of people have been asking. This is different ever since OpenSea announced they're migrating to a new contract, right?
Right. So I actually don't know. Like I've seen Wyvern as like a word in a lot of tweets, as many people have. Because I've just been working on my own project, I haven't seen this screen yet, so I'm doing this for the first time too. So like let's look through it, right? Because this is a real world scenario. So at first, like I don't know what Wyvern exchange contract means. I'm on OpenSea. What is Wyvern? I don't know. There's some addresses here. Maker, which is my wallet's address. Remember FBE3.
Mm-hmm.
The exchange, which I assume is OpenSea. There's some fees here. Fee recipient, which is some other wallet address. A bunch of zeros and Fs. A bunch of like base price. This is 1 ETH in way. Right, listing time, expiration time. These are like Unix timestamps. Now it's asking me, sign.
Yeah, scary.
My private key. It is scary, like because I don't know. Like I initiated this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is my asset. It doesn't say OpenSea anywhere on here. Aside, it says right here. I would much prefer this was called like OpenSea V2 exchange contract or something, right? I don't know what Wyvern is. So what my gut tells me to do right now is to go to Twitter and search for Wyvern and see what comes up here, because there will be people who are saying, what is Wyvern exchange contract? Is this safe? And I'd read through, a handful of tweet replies there before I sign this.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. It's what I did as well. Like I saw this pop up and it was just like scary. It's like, what? This I've been using OpenSea for a year, thousands of transactions. I've never seen this pop up.
Right.
It's a huge red flag.
Right.
Um, yeah. So then you go and again you verify from multiple data points.
Right.
It is yeah.
And because we've done this together, and this is a very normal like experience. Like I don't feel nervous signing it, but in this
Mm,
in a similar situation, I would go to Twitter. I would do my diligence. you know so we sign it, right, and then we get our item is now listed for sale, right. So what we've done is we've put it in OpenSea's hands now,
mm,
and it now lives in their universe. And like you saw a couple weeks ago with the bug that allowed people to buy like old listing prices of,
mm.
of different NFTs. um, that has to do with the permissions granted to different addresses. And yeah, the two different interactions that we just did before, um, you know are what set up users to be able to potentially be exploited in that way, just by the nature of how the different contracts work.
All right. Sorry. One last question.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even know the answer, but in terms of the phishing attack that basically happened this most recent weekend, where it seems like 30-ish people had a bunch of assets drained from their wallets. What do you know about like how that happened? Or like, let's say it seems like these people went to a malicious website and signed some contract or something with their wallet. What would they, or do you know what they would have signed or what it would have looked like when they signed it?
So I mean, a good phishing attempt looks as close to the real thing as possible, right? um, the flow that they would go through would be very similar to this.
Hmm.
um, it would pull in their assets. They wouldn't think that they were anywhere other than OpenSea if the exploit
Mm.
was done well.
And it would have just said something like register proxy or set approval for all, and they would have signed that.
Yeah, and it would have gone to the malicious contract versus the
Mm.
OpenSea contract, and then
And then now
from
you've just given the
there,
malicious contract access to transfer your
right,
assets, basically. Yeah.
right, right. Um, and but to be clear, like the set approval for all is on the one that we just did is on the noun cats contract. So
Hmm.
if we go into the contract here, um, right, and we go into the right tab, um, right, here's set approval for all,
Hmm.
right. We can open that up and we can see that the operator is going to be OpenSea's contract address, or whatever Ethereum address they need to do their thing. And then approved is going to be true,
Hmm.
right? And then that transaction would go through. So like the way NFTs work is they're all you know ERC 721s or ERC 1155s,
Hmm.
and part of the default code for at least the 721. I haven't worked much in 1155, so I can't really speak to that. Um, is this set approval for all function, because it allows marketplaces, or if you're making a game or something like that, it allows someone to operate on your behalf, and that
Hmm.
doesn't have to be, and oftentimes is not malicious, but
Mm.
but can be, because I'm saying like Zeneca here, use like you now have approval for my noun cats. Don't do anything bad, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't like that guy. I'm gonna like I'm gonna go sell all his stuff, and he can't stop me.
So you're basically
Um,
trusting someone or some entity.
yeah, usually some entity, and you just need to be careful which ones you're trusting.
And then that's when revoke.cash or similar sites come into play. If you don't want to trust them anymore, you want to be safe, you can revoke those approval access proxy things, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and again, you can, no matter whether you're on the website or not, you can always go in here, go to your connected sites, I can see right here now I'm connected to OpenSea, right? We're gonna remove that. I'm gonna click disconnect all accounts, so that across all of my different addresses in this MetaMask is going to make sure that OpenSea is not connected to any of them. And then you can see up here in this tab, I've now been taken back in the OpenSea. I was on my profile before, and now I'm at this login page because OpenSea recognizes that disconnect event and says, we shouldn't show this person a profile view because they're no longer connected to their profile.
So yeah, you've disconnected, but you've still, if you've given them approval access, so that that other attack vector is still there. Disconnecting doesn't.
Yes.
It's not the same as revoking.
Correct. So in this instance, you would have to go to revoke.cash, and you would need to make sure that your allowances are set to 0, like we did before. So that way you couldn't actually have that asset be sold. I believe I'm not 100% there. Like you should probably go in and also cancel that listing just for good measure.
Yeah. Wow, this was a lot of really good information. I think we still sort of only scratched the surface. I think there's so much more to, I guess, understanding all of this. To me, what I'm getting is that probably the most important things are practicing good sort of wallet health. So like having your valuable assets in a cold wallet that's not interacting, so that in the event that you do interact with a malicious site or contract, your risk is reduced. And then the best way to, or one of the best ways to reduce your risk is to like verify, check 2, 3, 4 times from various sources that you're on the right site, that other people have minted, other people have checked out the contract. Read the contract if you can, but if not, go on Twitter, go on Discord, ask other people if they think it's safe. And yeah, do you have anything more to add?
I mean, buy a hardware wallet, buy 2, buy 3.
I have 4, so yeah, I really recommend that as well.
Go buy directly from Ledger or Trezor. Don't buy from Amazon. Don't click ads when you Google. If you Google like best hardware wallet, don't click that first link, which is usually an ad on Google or DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
If it comes and it's opened or the seal is broken in any way, don't use it. Return it. If you buy it at a conference, make sure you're buying from like oftentimes like Ledger will be at conferences and they'll be selling hardware wallets. Like, just make sure that's really Ledger, but usually they have a booth and it looks really official. And like, I did that once, I didn't have a problem. Assume that it can be you. Like assume that it's that at some point, as careful as I've been in this space since 2013, I still act defensively every day. I assume that someone is trying to scam me in some way. As someone who just launched a project, people all the time are, we had someone impersonate a team member. Before we minted, we turned off links in the Discord. We reminded everyone, if someone DMs you, like, don't interact with that. Just if it looks too good to be true, if it feels too good to be true, probably is. Do some research, ask around. Rather than have like an alpha group or whatever in Discord, like have a security group. Have people who, if you're not technical, who can answer your technical questions and you feel secure with their technical opinions. If you want to tweet at me, Backseats_eth, I'm happy to read a contract and tell you what it does and help you like avoid or at least just understand, what some code might be doing. So if you have one resource now if you didn't have any before. And yeah, just like it's like the user experience is going to be a little more painful than your typical like log into Facebook. Everything is, set up on a red carpet and ready to go.
You can get it back. Yeah,
exactly. Like protect your private keys with, everything you have. Never share them. Never, if someone DMs you asking for them, never give it. If someone claims they're from a team that you trust or respect and asks you for sensitive information, to help troubleshoot or to debug something, a lot of times, humans love helping other humans. And a lot of times we will fall for scams because we think we're being helpful. I fell for a scam last week where during our mint, we gave away the first 500 of our collection for free. And we had people saying, "Oh, I entered the wrong address in the dino.gg form. Can I change it?" And I said, "Yo, of course." But then I thought about it after, everyone was supposed to mint one and one wallet had 12. And I was like, oh, you can't mess up pasting in an address. Come on.
Yeah.
So, all of that to say, like, I'm not impervious to this. Like, that was a low risk thing, thankfully. But I fell for it because I was trying to help.
Yeah. I think be hyper vigilant is something. Yeah, and sort of it's just it kind of sucks, but assume everyone is sort of always out to scam you. Just that should be your default assumption when you're interacting with people, because even if you're interacting with someone, your best friend, person you talk to every day, there's always the possibility that their computer got compromised and you're not actually interacting with them. So
Right.
just always default to that. Be hyper vigilant, skeptical.
Also, if you're in a Discord that is doing a stealth mint, or a Discord, if you're in, I think this happened to the Littles, where their Discord was compromised, and the link that gets sent out is like, surprise drop. Oftentimes, like, that's an attack vector. So just be very cautious there, because that's not, the link that's associated with that is with a malicious site that's probably trying to steal your littles in that situation, because someone is, they're probably going to click something that says, set approval for all, rather than like, mint something. And because I don't think that people, they're not studying the MetaMask prompt. They're just, doing their muscle memory, scroll down, click, right button, click
there's
ether
FOMO.
scan.
They think, oh, there's the scammers really prey on that. They say, oh, stealth drop, only 500, go, and then people are like, oh, I got to rush, I got to get into it, which it sucks, but it comes back to what you said right at the beginning: be patient and always check and verify. Yeah,
and just like, look, if you miss some things because you're being patient, like at least you didn't lose all your assets because you rushed and you clicked something that you shouldn't have. And really try to minimize what's on your hot wallet, even if that's a pain, to go back to your hardware wallet, or to get it out of a safe, or to fetch it from a third party location. Like, the fewer things that you can have in the event that you do get compromised, you lose 2 ETH, or you lose a couple like low value NFTs or something. But if you've got a Bored Ape and you don't have a hardware wallet, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, 100%. If your PFP is 6 figures, hell, 5 figures, and you don't have a hardware wallet, you could even argue 4 figures. Yeah, just it's $100, $150. It's peace of mind. And yes, you will pay a little to transfer it in gas costs, and if you need to sell it or transfer it to claim an airdrop or something, you might pay a little more. But again, in the grand scheme of things, and especially if you intend to be in the space for a very long time and hopefully, presumably, build up your the value of your Ethereum assets, then it's going to pay for itself so many times over. It just has, honestly, just once it has to protect you. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. This was incredibly helpful. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that listeners and viewers learned a lot as well. So really, really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. And again, like, I'm Backseats_eth on Twitter. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Always happy to help people with security, because, this stuff is scary, and not everyone is technical. And, we need to do more in the space to educate people and to bring the barrier for safe, healthy use down to, the lowest possible level. So this can really be, it's the thing that holds crypto back from being mainstream is
Yeah.
how complex it is to use and how many scams are able to be executed. So,
Yeah.
if I can save one person from this conversation, that'd be awesome.
I love it. And we'll put a link to your Twitter in the show notes. And what's the website for your project, Noun Cats?
Yeah, just
Because yeah,
nouncats.com.
nouncats.com, nice and easy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go mint some because I love nouns, I love cats, and I love everything that you're standing for. So actually, I love the
appreciate that.
invisible fronts. They seem really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
they were originally going to be, we were going to have like a small amount of them in the collection, and then I was playing around one day and they were too much fun, and I was like, well, what if we did this thing where like we're trying to create this like crazy serendipity engine where like, when you go to college, like the college person, like the person at the college who like makes roommates is creating these relationships that didn't necessarily like it's just pure serendipity there. Or like when teachers put two cubbies next to each other, like they're making a friendship potentially. So, in these weird COVID times where a lot of us are inside, or just in general, like we're just trying to like have people meet each other, and maybe that person's just good for a conversation. Maybe they end up being a collaborator of some kind or a friend, but um, we're really trying this like fun little social experiment. And I'm going to write a bunch of contracts where you and this other person actually have to go interact with the contract together to mint something new. So there's this shared experience. So
oh,
it's
that's
less
really
of a
cool. Yeah.
single player game and more of a you and someone else are kind of going on an adventure a little bit.
No, I love it. That sounds awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, yeah. Again, thank you so much. And
Yeah, thanks for having
maybe
me.
maybe if you're open to it, we can have you back on because I think there's even more we can cover in another point.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Just let me know anytime.
All right. So there was a conversation with someone way smarter than me, who clearly understands this Web3 space and world from like a technical level way better than I do. But even then, you could tell that there were certain things that Backseats did not know and wasn't 100% sure of, which is sort of just indicative of how difficult it is to really know what's going on at the core level of so much of this. The best we can do is, put in place some of the best practices we outlined. You can disconnect your wallet from websites, set up a hardware wallet that doesn't interact with smart contracts. So just double check, triple check, verify the sites you're interacting with is the genuine site. Go on Twitter, ask in Discord, have other people interacted with it. Try and begin to see if you can start reading the contracts. It's not the most simple thing, but it's also not the most difficult. Especially, we went through, or Backseats went through line by line some of the basic things in a contract, and I think spending a little bit of time learning what to look for there and being able to have that level of understanding, I think, is really helpful. It's not 100% necessary. You can sort of rely on others to do that for you, and wisdom of the crowds and all that. But just something to think about. And I think just in general, thinking more about security and protecting your assets, protecting your identity. Even we dove into that a lot, and really thinking about just security from maybe a perspective that you hadn't thought of before, or maybe you had, but this is hopefully a good reminder. It certainly was for me. So yeah, if you found this helpful, useful, you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. That stuff really helps grow the channel, and that's the goal. And hopefully we get Backseats back on in the future. Uh, yeah, I mean, if you have any questions as well regarding security, leave them in the comments, and I'll try and answer them. And if not, I'll try and see if he can answer them, or maybe we can get to them in a future video. Thanks.